This is 5 on your side at 4. Focused on you.
Right now at 4, a major K-Squad investigation in the Metro East after neighbors found a man dead in a ditch in Collinsville. Good afternoon. I'm Brent Solomon.
And I'm Kay Quinn. Police say 21-year-old Tyrese Owens was stabbed to death Wednesday morning. 5 on your side's Diamond Palmer is live in Collinsville. And Diamond, what has the community told you?
Well, good evening, Kay and Brent. Neighbors have told me that just a couple of days ago, a man knocked on their door, actually asking for Tyrese Owens in the middle of the night. They say this all happened in a tight-knit community, and they're all very shocked by this crime. Now, Wednesday at 10:44 a.m., the Collinsville Police Department responded to 519 Loop Street. When police arrived, they found a man in a ditch just outside of his front door of his apartment. Police say Tyrese Owens was found by neighbors and had multiple cuts to his torso. He was later pronounced dead. The Collinsville Police Department asked the major K-Squad of Greater St. Louis to lead this investigation with nearly 20 investigators assigned to this case. And I spoke to one neighbor who was home when it all happened.
A couple of his friends were down the street and they were sitting in the middle of the road, not thinking that they were his friends. And as they walked down, I asked them, you know, was this a friend of yours? And they said, yeah, and the tears were coming. And I asked if I could have a prayer with them, and so we prayed.
Now, the major K-Squad says they are heavy into this investigation of this crime, but they will have additional information for everyone in the near future. Of course, if you or anyone you know has information, you should call the major K-Squad at 618-344-2131. Reporting live here at the Collinsville Police Department, Diamond Palmer, 5 on your side.
For the first time, a St. Louis survivor abused by a priest is sharing his experience. Jonathan Dean says he was abused by the former Father Gary Paul Wolken. Dean says he was 10 years old when Wolken repeatedly raped him at Ascension Parish in Chesterfield. In 2002, Wolken was convicted of abusing a different boy. Those crimes happened in 1997, and Wolken was sentenced to 15 years in prison and released in 2015. In 2018, Dean filed a civil suit against Wolken and the Archdiocese of St. Louis. Just this summer, that suit was settled for $1 million. This afternoon, Dean focused on the flaws of Missouri's statute of limitations.
The fact that Missouri law has a statute of limitations for claims of childhood sexual assault is a political and legal choice to value the comfort and well-being of pedophiles over the lives and well-being of their victims.
In a new statement, the Archdiocese said, quote, regardless of any applicable statute of limitations, the Archdiocese collaborates with former FBI and other law enforcement personnel, independent of the church, to thoroughly investigate claims and respond appropriately, adding, we continue to pray for all victims of sexual abuse that they may find comfort and healing. Stay with 5 on your side for continuing coverage of this story. 5 on your side's Justina Coronel will have reports at 5 and 6. You can also find coverage on KSDK.com and on the 5 on your side app.
A former St. Louis County police officer now facing 15 felony charges after police say he fired shots during a Halloween event for students in Kirkwood. Today, a grand jury indicted Matthew McCulloch, adding 4 new charges. The St. Louis County Prosecuting Attorney's Office says this is due to changes in who will testify in the case. McCulloch remains in custody. He is the son of former county prosecuting attorney Bob McCulloch. Well, several fire departments coming together to battle a house fire in Clayton. Just before 8:45 this morning, a fire broke out on the 3rd floor of a home on Wyden Boulevard near Glen Ridge Drive. 5 on your side talked with one of the homeowners who said they heard a loud bang just before the fire started. Right now, investigators trying to determine what caused it.
Our fire marshal is inside trying to determine the cause and origin of the fire. Fire crews got on the scene really quick and pulled several attack lines, went up to the 3rd floor and knocked out the fire. No injuries at this time from fire or civilians.
Chief Rhodes says he does not think the fire is suspicious.
Well, a cloudy, cool afternoon. Quite a difference from yesterday's high in the 80s. Chief Meteorologist Scott Connell here tracking this cool change in our Weather First forecast.
You know, there's some rain showing up on the radar screen to the south of St. Louis, but that rain having a hard time reaching the ground because the air is so dry. When in a drought, we stick with that drought, so I don't think we're going to get much in the way of rainfall over the next several days, certainly not this evening. You're looking in Arnold right now, and you can see as we kind of scan down in Arnold, a lot of clouds. They're a little bit thicker as you go to the south of St. Louis. As we get back in and around the metro area, the clouds, especially going north of St. Louis, are a little bit thinner. But you see the radar. Yeah, there's something showing up right here over St. Louis, but then when we get closer using our Doppler radar, the Weather First Doppler radar here from the National Weather Service out in Weldon Spring, you see there's nothing really showing up around St. Louis. This is mid-level moisture. That's what's over us right now. So it's trying to rain up there. It's just that the distant radars are seeing it and it's not reaching the ground. Temperatures are in the low to mid-50s. We're about 30 degrees cooler right now in a lot of places than where we were yesterday. We'll enjoy a pretty quiet evening, but a cooler one as temperatures hold in the 50s early this evening with lots of clouds and dry conditions prevailing. We'll see you in a few minutes, Kate. We'll talk about the upcoming weekend.
All right, thank you, Scott. As the Israel-Hamas war continues, the White House and Israel have come to an agreement.
Israel has agreed to daily 4-hour humanitarian pauses in its assault on Hamas in northern Gaza. The White House said this would allow for civilians to leave and for humanitarian aid to be delivered. President Biden told reporters he is pushing Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu for more pauses to the fighting in Gaza.
You know, I've been asking for a pause for a lot more than 3 days. Yes.
Did you ask him to pause for 3 days to get the hostages out for that
Yes.
length of time?
I've asked for even a longer pause for some of them.
More than 200 civilians, including several Americans, are being held hostage by Hamas. The Israeli military insists while safe passage will be allowed, there will be no ceasefire in Gaza.
Pro-Palestinian demonstrators gathered in downtown St. Louis this morning as part of a global day of action. They first protested outside the federal courthouse before walking down Market Street. Among those in the crowd, business owners, students, and other members of the Palestinian community. They're calling for a ceasefire in Israel and Gaza.
It has been 31 days since Israel's been bombarding Gaza. Over 10,000 Palestinians have been killed, half in which are children. We all have family and relatives and friends back home. None of our lives have been the same, and we want a ceasefire now.
The group also staged protests in Manchester and at Shoto Park. You can get updates on the Israel-Hamas war by texting the word Israel to 314-425-5355.
Today, the St. Louis Zoo is mourning the death of an elderly Asian elephant. Donna was 52 years old. Zoo officials say she was euthanized this morning after being diagnosed with a tumor last month. They say her health worsened over the last few days. Donna was born in the wild and came to the zoo in 1971.
Our area has dozens of new U.S. citizens today, the program that led them to take the Oath of Allegiance.
And another big honor for St. Louis City SC, and it's one that has never gone to an expansion club in its inaugural MLS season.
45 years ago this fall, St. Louis said goodbye to an unforgettable era in transportation. We'll take you back in time to the train platform coming up.